The photo arrived at 9:47 p.m. Ronan Kade didn't flinch when his phone lit up on the marble table. He'd seen threats before. Envelopes stuffed with surveillance shots, burner phones left in his car, messages scrawled on restaurant receipts. This one was different. The image showed a man he'd never met standing outside a Brooklyn clinic, one hand pressed to his rounded stomach, the other gripping a paper bag from a bodega. The timestamp read 3 days ago. The caption underneath made Ronan's jaw tighten. "He's worth more broken." Across the table, Soren Hale hadn't noticed yet. He was reading the dessert menu like it mattered, his fingers trembling just enough to make the laminated card shake. Ronan had agreed to this dinner as a favor. 1 hour, neutral ground, then gone. The broker who set it up had pulled Ronan out of a Baltimore mess 2 years back, so he owed the man. But sitting here now, watching this pregnant Omega try to pretend he belonged in a restaurant where entrees cost $300, Ronan felt something dangerous stirring. Curiosity. He hated curiosity. It made men sloppy. Ronan slid his phone face down and leaned back. The restaurant hummed around them. Crystal clinking, soft jazz bleeding through hidden speakers, the kind of silence that only money could buy. Soren finally looked up, his dark eyes catching the dim light. He wasn't what Ronan expected. No desperation. No performance. Just exhaustion worn like a second skin. "I won't keep you long," Ronan said. His voice came out colder than intended. "I don't involve myself with complications." Soren nodded slowly. He set the menu down and folded his hands over the curve of his belly. "I'm not here to ask for involvement. Just honesty." That word landed hard. "Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is." Ronan studied him. Soren wore clothes that didn't match the venue. A soft cardigan that had seen too many washes, slacks with a loose thread at the hem, shoes scuffed near the toe. But his posture stayed straight. His gaze didn't drop. There was something steady underneath the fear. Something Ronan recognized from men who'd survived worse than shame. "Honesty about what?" Ronan asked. Soren's breath hitched. "About whether you see me as a person or a problem." The question hit like a blade between ribs. Ronan felt his control slip, just for a second. He'd walked into this dinner expecting manipulation, maybe blackmail. Instead, he got something worse. Sincerity. The kind that made men make mistakes. "I see risk," Ronan said carefully. "Pregnancy means leverage, weakness, a target my enemies can use." "I know." Soren's voice stayed level. "I've been a target since the second trimester started showing. That's why I'm here." Ronan's phone buzzed again. He ignored it. "Who sent you?" Ronan asked. "No one sent me." Soren shifted in his seat, wincing slightly. "A mutual contact suggested we meet. I thought maybe—" He stopped, shook his head. "I thought maybe one honest conversation wouldn't hurt." "It might." Soren smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Everything hurts lately. At least this way I choose it." Ronan felt something crack inside his chest. He reached for his water glass, buying time. This wasn't supposed to happen. He didn't get involved. He didn't take on dependence. He especially didn't let pregnant Omegas sit across from him and strip away his defenses with nothing but exhausted truth. But Soren wasn't playing a game. That was the problem. "Tell me why you ran," Ronan said quietly. Soren blinked. "What?" "You left Massachusetts. Fast. No forwarding address. That's not someone relocating. That's someone running." For the first time, Soren's composure fractured. His hand moved instinctively to his stomach, protective. "How do you know that?" "I know things." Ronan leaned forward. "So tell me, what happened?" Soren looked away. His throat worked around words that wouldn't come. Finally, he spoke. "I was accused of trapping an alpha with a pregnancy. Public hearing. Omega Welfare Board. They said I manipulated bond chemistry to secure financial support." His voice went flat. "They proved it was a lie 3 weeks later. By then, I'd lost my job, my apartment, my name. And the father?" Soren's laugh came out bitter. "Gone. Someone delivered a message in a parking garage. He disappeared the next day." Ronan's blood went cold. That wasn't coincidence. That was coordination. What kind of message? He pressed. I don't know. He wouldn't tell me. Just said staying near me was a death sentence. Ronan's mind raced. This wasn't random. Someone had orchestrated Soren's collapse. Someone who knew how to weaponize shame and fear. Someone who wanted Soren isolated, vulnerable, desperate. Someone who knew Ronan would be sitting here tonight. His phone lit up again. This time Ronan looked. The second photo showed Soren leaving this restaurant's side entrance, an image that hadn't happened yet. The angle suggested a camera positioned across the street, high up, professional. The timestamp read 10:13 p.m., 12 minutes from now. Ronan's pulse kicked up. Whoever sent this wasn't making threats. They were giving him a schedule, proof they controlled the exits, proof they'd already won. Soren noticed the shift in Ronan's expression. What's wrong? We're leaving. Ronan stood, pulling cash from his wallet. He dropped 500s on the table, enough to cover the meal 3 times over and buy silence from the staff. Now. What? Why? Don't ask questions. Just move. Soren struggled to his feet, confused and frightened. Ronan grabbed his coat from the back of the chair and draped it over Soren's shoulders. The fabric swallowed him, expensive and dark. Ronan scanned the restaurant. No one looked suspicious. Everyone looked suspicious. Stay close, Ronan said. They moved toward the exit. Ronan's hand hovered near Soren's lower back, not touching but ready. His other hand stayed near his pocket where his phone buzzed non-stop now. He didn't check it. Didn't need to. Whoever was watching wanted him rattled. It was working. They stepped outside. The night air hit sharp and cold. Manhattan stretched around them, all glass and steel and in different light. Ronan's car waited at the curb, black, clean, engine already running, because his driver knew better than to be late. But Ronan didn't move toward it. What are we doing? Soren whispered. Changing the plan. Ronan pulled Soren left, away from the car, into the flow of sidewalk traffic. He kept his pace even, his breathing controlled. Years of discipline kept his fear buried deep. Soren struggled to keep up, one hand pressed to his belly. I can't. I need to slow down. Not yet. They turned the corner. Ronan's phone exploded with notifications. He finally looked. 17 new messages. All images. All of Soren. Different locations. Different days. A surveillance portfolio spanning weeks. The final message was text. You can't protect what you don't claim. Ronan stopped walking. The words hit like a confession. This wasn't about Soren. This was about him. Someone wanted to force his hand. Make him choose between his rules and his instincts. Someone knew exactly which pressure point would break him. Soren leaned against a building, breathing hard. Please, tell me what's happening. Ronan looked at him. Really looked. At the exhaustion carved into his face, the fear he carried like extra weight, the way his hand never left his stomach, always protecting. And Ronan realized with terrible clarity that walking away now would be the same as pulling a trigger. Someone's targeting you, Ronan said, and they're using you to get to me. Soren's eyes went wide. I don't understand. I don't even know you. That's the point. Before Soren could respond, Ronan's phone rang. Unknown number, he answered. Mr. Kade. The voice was smooth, amused. Enjoying your evening? Ronan said nothing. I have a proposition. Walk away from the Omega and this ends. No harm, no exposure, just a pause. Discipline. Who is this? Someone who knows you hate complications. So here's a simple choice. Leave him on that corner. Go home. Forget this happened. Or... The line went dead. Ronan lowered the phone. His hand shook. Not from fear. From rage. Soren was staring at him, eyes shining with unshed tears. You should go. This isn't your problem. But it was. The moment Ronan sat down for that dinner, the moment he listened instead of walking away, the moment he draped his coat over Soren's shoulders, he'd already chosen. And whoever was watching knew it. Come with me, Ronan said. Where? Somewhere safe. Soren hesitated, Every instinct probably screamed not to trust the man he'd met an hour ago. But desperation had a way of narrowing options. He nodded. Ronan guided him toward a secondary street, away from cameras, away from predictable routes. His mind worked through contingencies, safe houses, loyal contacts, medical support. If Soren stayed in this game, he'd need all of it. But first, Ronan needed to understand who was playing. His phone buzzed one final time. He looked. The image showed Soren and Ronan walking together right now, captured from above. The caption underneath made Ronan's blood freeze. Now you can't let him go. Ronan's Connecticut safe house sat 40 minutes outside the city, tucked behind gates that didn't announce themselves. The driveway curved through trees that blocked sightlines. The house itself looked modest from the road. Glass and stone, clean angles, nothing flashy. Inside was different. Security monitors lined a hallway. Reinforced doors. Panic rooms disguised as closets. Ronan had built this place for disappearing, not living. Soren stood in the foyer, still wearing Ronan's coat. He looked small under all that fabric. Lost. Bathrooms down the hall, Ronan said. Second door. Soren nodded but didn't move. His eyes traced the ceiling, the corners, searching for something familiar to anchor to. Ronan recognized the look. He'd seen it on men who'd just realized their old life ended. I'll make a call, Ronan added. Get a doctor here. That snapped Soren's attention back. I don't need... You're shaking, your breathing's irregular. And you've been under stress for hours. Ronan's voice stayed flat. You need a doctor. Soren opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. His hand drifted to his stomach again. Always protecting. Always checking. After a moment, he walked toward the bathroom without another word. Ronan waited until the door closed before pulling out his phone. He dialed a number he'd memorized years ago. It rang twice. Kade. The voice on the other end was clipped, professional. Dr. Langston didn't waste time. I need you at the Connecticut property, now. A pause. What's the situation? Pregnant Omega, second trimester, high stress exposure, possible early contractions. How high stress? Targeted surveillance, threats, flight response. Another pause, longer this time. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Keep him calm, hydrated, horizontal if possible. The line went dead. Ronan pocketed his phone and moved to the kitchen. He filled a glass with filtered water, grabbed crackers from a cabinet that rarely saw use. When he turned back, Soren was standing in the doorway watching him. How long have you known? Soren asked quietly. Known what? That someone was following me. Ronan set the glass down. I didn't. Not until tonight. But you knew something was wrong. I know patterns. You don't run from Massachusetts to New York without reason. You don't show up to a blind date looking like you haven't slept in days unless you're desperate. Ronan pushed the water toward him. Drink. Soren took the glass but didn't drink. Why are you helping me? That was the question Ronan had been avoiding. The honest answer was dangerous. It meant admitting he'd broken his own rules. That sitting across from Soren had shifted something fundamental. That walking away now felt impossible. Because someone's trying to force my hand, Ronan said instead. I don't like being forced. So this is about control. Everything's about control. Soren's expression shifted, something between disappointment and understanding. He finally drank, small sips, his throat working carefully. When he set the glass down, his hand trembled. The baby's moving, he said softly. Ronan stilled. Is that normal? Yeah, just reactive. Stress makes them active. Soren pressed his palm flat against the curve. They can feel what I feel. That hit harder than it should have. Ronan had spent years insulating himself from emotional entanglement. He'd built empires on distance and discipline. But standing here, watching Soren try to soothe a child who couldn't understand danger yet, Ronan felt the edges of his control start to fray. Sit down, Ronan said, gesturing to the couch. Doctor's coming. You called someone? You need medical clearance, non-negotiable. Soren looked like he wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. He moved to the couch and lowered himself carefully, wincing. Ronan watched the way he shifted his weight, the way his breath caught. Second trimester meant the body changed fast. Stress could trigger complications neither of them could handle alone. Ronan sat across from him, maintaining distance. Tell me about the hearing. Soren's face went tight. Why? Because someone orchestrated your collapse. I need to know how. It was public record. Anyone could have seen it. Public record doesn't explain coordinated surveillance or threats delivered in parking garages. Ronan leaned forward. Who accused you? Soren's hands knotted together. The board. They said multiple alphas filed complaints. Names? They were sealed, confidential. Convenient. Soren looked up sharply. You think it was fake? I think someone wanted you isolated, discredited, easy to control. Ronan's jaw tightened, and it worked. The silence stretched. Outside wind moved through trees. Inside, the house settled around them, all steel and stone and buried fear. Soren's breathing evened out slightly. Ronan counted it as progress. The father, Ronan said carefully. You said he disappeared after a threat. What exactly did he tell you? Soren's expression shuddered. That staying near me would get him killed. That people were watching. That I should disappear too if I wanted the baby to survive. And you didn't? I tried. But running costs money. And no one hires a pregnant Omega with a scandal attached. Ronan processed that. Every detail painted the same picture. Soren had been systematically dismantled. Stripped of resources, reputation, support. Someone had spent months making sure he'd end up exactly here, desperate enough to accept help from a stranger. Whoever did this knows me, Ronan said, knows how I operate. Knows what buttons to push. You think they set this up? The dinner? I think they created circumstances where refusing would cost me more than agreeing. Ronan stood, pacing now. They didn't just target you. They engineered a situation where protecting you would compromise everything I've built. Then don't protect me. Soren's voice came out small. Let me go. I'll figure something out. You won't. Ronan stopped, facing him directly. You're 8 weeks from delivery. No job, no support system, and now you're on someone's radar who has resources and patience. He paused. Walking away from you now is the same as signing your death warrant. Soren flinched. That's not your responsibility. It became my responsibility the moment I answered that dinner invitation. The words hung between them. Ronan hadn't meant to say it that plainly, but exhaustion stripped away his usual precision. And something about Soren's presence made lying feel pointless. Headlights swept across the windows. Ronan checked his watch. 28 minutes. Dr. Langston was early. That's the doctor, Ronan said. Let him examine you. Answer his questions honestly. Soren nodded, too tired to argue. Ronan moved to the door, checked the security monitor, then unlocked it. Dr. Langston stepped inside, 50, gray at the temples, carrying a medical bag that had seen years of emergency calls. He nodded at Ronan, then focused on Soren. Mr. Hale, Langston said, his voice professionally gentle. I'm Dr. Langston. I'm going to check your vitals and make sure the baby's stable. Is that all right? Soren nodded again. Langston worked efficiently. Blood pressure, heart rate, abdominal palpation. He pulled out a portable monitor and pressed it to Soren's belly. The room filled with the rapid flutter of a fetal heartbeat. Ronan found himself holding his breath. Strong rhythm, Langston said. No signs of distress. But your blood pressure's elevated. Have you been experiencing cramping? A little, Soren admitted. Earlier tonight. Stress-induced. Common in second trimester, but we need to manage it. Langston packed away his equipment. I'm prescribing rest. Minimal physical activity for 48 hours. Hydration. Protein-rich meals. And, he glanced at Ronan. Reduce stress exposure. Done, Ronan said. Langston stood. I'll check back tomorrow afternoon. If cramping returns or intensifies, call immediately. He handed Soren a card. My direct line, day or night. After Langston left, the house felt quieter. Soren sat on the couch, staring at the card, like it was written in another language. "You should sleep," Ronan said. "I don't know if I can." "Try anyway. Guest room's upstairs. Second door on the left. Clean sheets. Locked door if you want it." Soren looked at him, something unreadable in his expression. "Why are you doing this?" Ronan could have lied, could have deflected. Instead, he told the truth. "Because someone bet I wouldn't." That landed. Soren's eyes widened slightly, understanding clicking into place. This wasn't charity. This was Ronan refusing to be manipulated, refusing to let someone else dictate his choices. Soren stood slowly. "Thank you." Ronan said nothing. Gratitude made him uncomfortable. It implied debt, and debt meant entanglement. He watched Soren climb the stairs, each step careful, one hand on the railing. When the guest room door closed, Ronan finally exhaled. He moved to his office, a room lined with monitors showing property perimeter, city contacts, financial markets. He pulled up surveillance logs, cross-referenced known enemies, started building a profile of who might orchestrate something this precise. The list was shorter than expected. Most of his enemies preferred direct confrontation. This required patience, planning, psychological warfare. One name kept surfacing: Calder Rook, financier, opportunist, a man who built empires on leverage and spectacle. Ronan had blocked one of Calder's acquisitions 2 years ago, a shipping route through Baltimore that would have legitimized trafficking networks. Calder had smiled, shaken Ronan's hand, and said, "We'll settle this eventually." Ronan pulled up Calder's recent activity. Nothing obvious. But absence of evidence wasn't evidence of absence. Men like Calder operated in shadows, using intermediaries and shell companies. A new email arrived. No subject line, just a link. Ronan clicked it. The website that loaded made his blood freeze. It was a blog, anonymous, professionally designed. The headline read, "Alpha Crime Lord uses pregnant Omega as shield." Below it, photos. Ronan and Soren leaving the restaurant. Ronan's hand near Soren's back. The coat draped over his shoulders. Images framed to look protective, possessive. The article spun a narrative. Ronan Kade, known associate of organized crime, had manipulated a vulnerable Omega into dependency, used pregnancy as cover for expanding territory, exploited tragedy for personal gain. Every word was a lie. Every photo was real. Ronan scrolled to the comments. Hundreds already. Outrage, speculation, calls for investigation. This wasn't just an attack. This was a public execution. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. "Enjoying your press coverage?" Calder's voice came through smooth and satisfied. "This won't work." "It already is. By morning, every jurisdiction you operate in will have questions. Regulators, investigators, public pressure." Calder laughed softly. "And you can't hide him, because hiding proves guilt." "What do you want?" "I want you compromised. Desperate, making mistakes." A pause. "I want to watch you choose between your reputation and that Omega upstairs, because either way you lose." The line went dead. Ronan stared at the screen. The article was spreading, shares multiplying, media outlets picking it up. Upstairs, Soren slept, unaware that his face was being broadcast across the internet as a victim, a pawn, a complication. Ronan's hands curled into fists. He had two choices: abandon Soren and salvage his reputation, or commit fully and watch everything burn. But walking away now meant Calder won, meant admitting he could be manipulated through guilt and fear. Ronan didn't lose. He pulled up his contact list, started making calls, lawyers, PR specialists, security firms. If Calder wanted a war fought in public, Ronan would give him one. But first, he had to tell Soren what was coming. Morning arrived with sirens. Ronan stood at the window, watching news vans cluster at the property gates. Cameras, reporters, a crowd that materialized overnight like infection. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn. Lawyers, associates, contacts asking if the allegations were true. He'd ignored most of them. Damage control required precision, not panic. Behind him, the guest room door opened. Soren appeared at the top of the stairs, still wearing yesterday's clothes. His hair stuck up at odd angles. Sleep hadn't erased the exhaustion etched into his face. He stopped when he saw Ronan's expression. "What happened?" Soren asked. Ronan gestured to the window. Soren moved closer, slowly, and looked out. His breath caught when he saw the crowd. The cameras. The chaos. "They're here for me?" Soren whispered. "They're here for a story." Ronan pulled up the article on his tablet, handed it over. "This went live 4 hours ago." Soren read in silence. Ronan watched his face drain of color. Watched his hands start trembling. When Soren reached the photos, something broke. His knees buckled. Ronan caught him before he hit the floor, guided him to the nearest chair. I didn't." Soren's breathing went ragged. "This isn't true. None of this is true." "I know." "Then why?" Soren looked up, eyes shining. "Why would someone do this?" "Because you're leverage." Ronan crouched in front of him, keeping his voice steady. "The person behind this wants me destabilized. Public scrutiny, legal pressure. You're just the tool they chose." Soren's face crumpled. "I should leave, right now, before this gets worse." "It's already worse. Leaving now makes you look complicit. Staying makes you look guilty." "I am guilty." Ronan said it flatly. "I brought you here. I made you a target. That's on me." Soren shook his head. "You were trying to help. Doesn't matter. Intention doesn't change outcome." Ronan stood. "Right now we have 2 options. I can arrange transport, get you somewhere safe and anonymous. Or, you stay. We face this together. Lawyers, statements, full transparency." Soren's laugh came out broken. "You want me to stand in front of cameras and what? Tell them I'm not a victim?" "I want you to tell the truth. That someone targeted you months before we met. That the accusations against you were false. That this," Ronan gestured to the tablet, "is a coordinated attack designed to destroy both of us. No one will believe that." "They will if we prove it." Soren stared at him. "How?" "By finding who orchestrated the Massachusetts hearing, who paid off the father, who's been feeding information to reporters." Ronan's voice hardened. "And making them answer for it." Outside, a reporter shouted questions at the gates. The crowd pressed closer. Soren flinched at the noise. "I can't do this," he said quietly. "I'm not strong enough." "You ran from Massachusetts to New York with nothing. You survived public humiliation and kept the baby safe. You walked into a dinner with a stranger knowing it might end badly." Ronan met his eyes. "You're stronger than you think." Soren's hands moved to his stomach. The baby kicked visibly through his shirt. He winced, then smiled faintly. "They're awake." "Is that bad?" "No, just reminding me they're here." Soren's smile faded. "If I stay, this gets worse for them too. Their face will be in articles. Their life will start with scandal. If you run, they'll grow up wondering why their parent disappeared." Ronan kept his tone even. "I can't make this choice for you. But I can promise that if you stay, I'll use every resource I have to end this." The words hung between them. Soren looked at the window, at the crowd baying for answers. Then at Ronan, searching for something. Honesty, maybe. Proof this wasn't another trap. "What do you get out of this?" Soren asked. "Control. Whoever's doing this wants me reactive, sloppy, emotional." Ronan's jaw tightened. "I won't give them that. So I'm just part of your strategy." "No. You're someone who got hurt because of proximity to me. That makes it my responsibility to fix." Soren studied him for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. "Okay, I'll stay." Ronan felt something shift in his chest. Relief, dread, commitment. "Then we start now." He pulled out his phone, dialed his lawyer. The call connected immediately. "Michaels, I need a press statement drafted. Full disclosure, timeline of events, emphasis on targeted harassment and false allegations." Ronan paced as he talked. "And I need investigative support." Someone who can trace blog hosting, payment trails, surveillance equipment purchases. That's going to be expensive, Michael said. I don't care. Get it done. Ronan ended the call. Turned to Soren. You'll need to give a statement too, on record. Details about Massachusetts, the hearing, the threats. I don't have proof of most of it. Testimony is proof. And if your story's consistent, it creates doubt. Ronan moved closer. But I need you to be specific. Names, dates, anything you remember. Soren closed his eyes. The hearing was June 14th. Board members were... He paused, thinking. Carver, Ellis, someone named Tran. They said 3 alphas filed complaints but wouldn't name them. Do you remember the exact accusations? Bond manipulation, pheromone tampering, intentional pregnancy to secure resources. Soren's voice went flat, reciting from memory. They said I'd studied alpha behavioral patterns and exploited vulnerabilities. Did they provide evidence? Photos, text messages, all taken out of context. They made casual conversations look like strategy. Ronan pulled up a notepad on his phone. What happened to the evidence after you were cleared? They said it was destroyed. Privacy protection. Convenient. Ronan typed notes. And the father. You said he received a threat. Did he tell you anything specific? Soren hesitated. He said someone called him. Didn't leave a name. Just said if he stayed connected to me, he'd lose everything. Job. Family. Life. When was this? August. Maybe late July. 2 months after the hearing. Yeah. Ronan's mind worked through timelines. The hearing discredited Soren publicly. The threat removed his support privately. Then months of isolation before the blind date invitation. Every step calculated to maximize vulnerability. Do you know who suggested the dinner? Ronan asked. A broker. He said someone wanted to connect us. Mutual benefit. Did he say who the someone was? Soren shook his head. Just that it was important. That I should trust the process. Ronan's blood went cold. The broker, the same one who'd asked Ronan for the favor. The connection suddenly felt less like coincidence and more like design. His phone buzzed. Michael's calling back. Statements drafted, the lawyer said. But we have a problem. Someone leaked medical records. Soren Hale's prenatal files. They're claiming the pregnancy was high risk from the start, that you're keeping him in unsafe conditions. Ronan's grip tightened on the phone. Those records are sealed. Not anymore. They hit 3 major news sites in the last 10 minutes. Soren must have seen something in Ronan's face because he stood. What's wrong? Ronan muted the phone. Your medical records were leaked. All color drained from Soren's face. How? Someone with access. Or money to buy access. Ronan unmuted. Michaels, I need a HIPAA violation investigation. Now. And contact every outlet that published. Threaten legal action if they don't retract. That'll take days. Then work faster. Ronan ended the call, turned to Soren. Did you authorize anyone to access your medical files? No. Just my regular doctor and... Soren stopped. The welfare board. They requested records during the hearing. Did they return them? I don't know. Everything happened so fast. Ronan pulled up his contact list again. He needed someone who could move through bureaucratic systems without leaving traces. Someone who owed him enough to act fast. Before he could dial, the house security system chimed. Someone at the gate. Ronan checked the monitor. A woman stood there alone, holding a briefcase. She looked directly at the camera and mouthed words clearly. I have information. Ronan zoomed in. He didn't recognize her. But something about her posture, calm, deliberate, suggested she wasn't press. Stay here, Ronan told Soren. He moved to the intercom. Who are you? The woman's voice came through clear. My name is Dr. Ashton Gray. I was on the board that investigated Mr. Hale, and I need to tell you what really happened. Ronan and Soren exchanged looks. How do I know you're legitimate? Ronan asked. Because I brought the original evidence. The evidence they told Mr. Hale was destroyed. Dr. Gray held up the briefcase, and it proves someone paid the board to fabricate charges. Soren's breath hitched. Ronan's pulse kicked up. This was the break they needed. Or another trap. Ronan made a decision. I'm opening the gate. Walk straight to the front door, hands visible. He buzzed her through, watching on monitors as she approached. No sudden movements. No backup visible. When she reached the door, Ronan opened it himself, keeping Soren behind him. Dr. Gray stepped inside. Mid-40s, professional attire, exhaustion carved into her features. She set the briefcase on the entry table and opened it. Inside were files, documents, photos, flash drives. I'm risking everything being here, Dr. Gray said, but I can't live with what we did. Start talking, Ronan said. Dr. Gray pulled out a folder. Last June, I received a call from an anonymous donor. They offered substantial funding for our program if we agreed to investigate specific cases flagged as high priority. Cases like mine, Soren said quietly. Yes, you were first on the list. They provided evidence we were supposed to review objectively. But the evidence was… She paused. Constructed, conversations edited, photos staged. We didn't verify properly because the funding was contingent on fast results. Who made the call? Ronan asked. I don't know. The money came through a shell corporation, registered in Delaware. Do you have the company name? Dr. Gray handed over documents. Ronan scanned them. The name meant nothing on its surface. But shell corporations left trails. Registration, officers, addresses. Why come forward now? Because I saw the news, saw what's happening to Mr. Hale, and I realized this wasn't just about one case. It's a pattern. Dr. Gray's voice shook. 3 other Omegas went through similar investigations. All cleared eventually. All destroyed anyway. Ronan's mind raced. This wasn't about Soren specifically. He was part of a larger operation. Testing a system. Refining a method. Do you know who the other Omegas were? Ronan asked. 2 disappeared after their cases. 1… Dr. Gray hesitated. 1 died. Officially ruled a suicide. Soren made a small sound. Ronan's anger crystallized into something sharp and focused. I need copies of everything, Ronan said, and I need you to go on record. I can't. If the board finds out, I'll lose my license. Maybe worse. If you don't, more people die. Ronan's voice went cold. Choose. Dr. Gray looked at Soren, at the fear and hope warring in his expression. She took a shaky breath. Okay, I'll testify, but I need protection. You'll have it. Ronan pulled out his phone, called Michaels back. I need witness protection arrangements. Immediate. And I need forensic accountants on a Delaware shell corporation. He rattled off the company name from Dr. Gray's documents. While Ronan coordinated logistics, Soren sat down heavily. His hands shook. Dr. Gray moved closer. I'm sorry, she said quietly, for what we did. For believing lies without questioning. Soren looked up. Did you know? That it would destroy me? No, I thought… Dr. Gray's voice broke. I thought we were protecting others. That's what they told us. And you believed it. Yes, I'm ashamed now, but yes. Soren nodded slowly. No forgiveness, just acknowledgement. Ronan finished his calls, turned back to them. Dr. Gray, you'll be moved to a secure location within the hour. Michaels will coordinate your statement. Everything you've brought will be documented and analyzed. What about the press? Dr. Gray asked. Let me handle them. She nodded, gathered her things. Before leaving, she looked at Soren one more time. I hope you survive this. Both of you. After she left, the house felt heavier. Soren stayed seated, staring at nothing. This is bigger than I thought, he said. Yeah. People died. Yeah. Soren's hand moved to his stomach. What if we can't stop it? We will. Ronan crouched in front of him again. Because now we have proof. Names, money trails, everything they tried to hide. And what happens when they realize we know? That was the question Ronan had been avoiding. Whoever orchestrated this, Calder or someone else, wouldn't let evidence surface quietly. They'd escalate, push harder, make things messier. Ronan's phone buzzed. New email. No subject. He opened it. Inside was a single photo. Soren's childhood home. Address visible. Caption underneath. His family doesn't know yet. Should we tell them? Ronan's blood turned to ice. The call to Soren's family went straight to voicemail. Ronan tried 3 times. Each ring felt like countdown. Each silence confirmed what he already knew. Whoever sent that email had moved faster. They'd gotten there first, made contact, planted seeds of doubt or fear or worse. Soren stood beside him, phone pressed to his ear, trying his sister, his mother, his father. Nothing. They're not answering, Soren said, voice thin. They always answer. Ronan pulled up security contacts. Where do they live? Providence, Rhode Island. My parents have a house near the university. My sister lives... Soren stopped. She lives 2 blocks away. Give me addresses. Soren rattled them off mechanically. Ronan forwarded everything to his head of security with instructions. Visual confirmation, no contact, report back immediately. Then he looked at Soren, who'd gone pale and still. They're going after my family, Soren whispered. We don't know that yet. You saw the email. You know what it means. Soren's breathing went shallow. They're going to tell them lies. Make them think He couldn't finish. Ronan caught him before panic took full hold. Sit down. Breathe. Slow. I can't. You can. Focus on me. Ronan kept his voice level, anchoring. In through your nose. Count to 4. Soren tried. Failed. Tried again. His chest heaved, but gradually the rhythm steadied. Ronan waited until color returned to his face before releasing him. Your family doesn't have the full story, Ronan said, but neither does whoever's threatening them. We can fix this. How? By getting ahead of it. Calling them ourselves. Explaining everything before the lies land. What if it's too late? Ronan's security contact called back. He answered on speaker. Visual confirmation on both addresses, the contact said. Providence police are at the parents' residence. 2 units. Looks like a wellness check. Sister's apartment shows no activity. Soren made a wounded sound. Can you get closer? Ronan asked. Find out what triggered the police response? Already on it. Stand by. The line went quiet but didn't disconnect. Ronan watched Soren unravel in real time. Hands nodding, breath hitching, eyes glazing with the kind of fear that rewired survival instincts. This is my fault, Soren said. I should never have stayed. Should never have... Stop. Ronan's voice cut through. This isn't on you. Someone's been building this for months. You were the target long before I was involved. But I brought it to your door. I opened the door. Big difference. Soren looked at him, eyes red-rimmed. Why are you still here? You could walk away. Claim you didn't know. Let me take the fall. That what you think of me? I don't know what to think anymore. Fair. Ronan couldn't argue with that. 48 hours ago, they were strangers. Now they were bound together by threats and leaked files and the weight of other people's deaths. The security contact came back on. Update. Police were called for a welfare check on Soren Hale's parents. Anonymous tip claimed the father had made suicidal statements. Officers cleared the scene after talking to family. No one was hurt. Soren exhaled sharply. Did they say who called it in? Ronan asked. Untraceable number, burner phone. Same tactics been used in 3 other harassment campaigns this month. Ronan's jaw tightened. Find the pattern. Cross-reference phone records. See if there's overlap. Copy that. The line went dead. Soren stood abruptly, pacing now. They're terrorizing my parents. People who have nothing to do with this. People who... His voice cracked. People who already think I'm a failure. That stopped Ronan cold. What? The hearing, the accusations. My parents believe some of it. Not everything, but enough. Soren's hand shook. They asked if maybe I'd been careless. If maybe I'd sent the wrong signals. They didn't say it outright, but I heard it. I heard what they thought of me. Did they support you after you were cleared? They sent money, once, with a note that said I should consider moving somewhere quieter, somewhere my choices wouldn't follow me. Soren laughed bitterly. I think they were relieved when I left Massachusetts. Ronan felt anger spike. Not at Soren. At the people who should have protected him and didn't. At the systems that destroyed lives and called it justice. You don't need their approval, Ronan said. I needed their belief. There's a difference. Before Ronan could respond, his phone exploded with alerts. News notifications, social media tags. Someone had released a second wave of content. He pulled up the first link. It was an interview. Anonymous source claiming to be Soren's former roommate. The story painted Soren as manipulative, calculating, someone who studied alphas like prey. Every sentence was designed to strip away sympathy, make him look guilty. They're not stopping, Ronan said quietly. What now? Ronan showed him the screen. Soren read in silence. When he finished, something in his expression changed. Not fear, resignation. I should go, Soren said. Leave the country, change my name, start over somewhere they can't find me. Running won't stop this. They'll follow, or they'll move to the next target. Then what do you suggest? We burn it down, expose everyone involved, make it too costly for them to continue. That'll take weeks, months. Soren's hand moved to his stomach. I don't have months. Ronan understood. The pregnancy was a ticking clock. Stress affected the baby. Every attack compounded risk. They needed resolution fast or everything collapsed. How far along are you? Ronan asked. 26 weeks, give or take. When's your next checkup? I missed the last one, couldn't afford it. Ronan pulled out his phone. Langston's coming back today anyway. He'll do a full workup. Make sure the baby's stable. I can't pay for... I'm not asking you to. Ronan's tone left no room for argument. Your health is non-negotiable, especially now. Soren looked like he wanted to fight. Then exhaustion won. He nodded. Ronan made the call. Langston agreed to come within the hour. After hanging up, Ronan moved to his laptop. He needed to shift tactics. Reactive defense wasn't working. They needed offense. I'm going to make a statement, Ronan said. Public, on record, laying out everything we know. That'll make you a target. I already am. Might as well control the narrative. What if it backfires? Then we adapt. Ronan pulled up a draft statement his lawyer had prepared. But silence is what they want. Confusion. Chaos. I won't give them that. Soren moved closer, reading over his shoulder. You're naming Calder Rook. He's the likely source. And even if he's not, putting his name out there creates pressure. Makes him respond. Response creates evidence. Evidence that could get you killed. Maybe. Ronan didn't look away from the screen. But I've survived worse than rich men with grudges. Soren was quiet for a moment. Then softly, why are you risking this? Ronan stopped typing. Because someone bet I wouldn't. And I don't lose bets. That's not a real answer. Ronan turned, met Soren's eyes. You want the truth? Yeah. I don't know. The admission felt like shedding armor. I should have walked away at the restaurant. Should have let you leave this morning. Every tactical bone in my body says cutting you loose is the smart play. He paused. But I can't. Why not? Because you didn't ask for this. You didn't manipulate. You didn't trap anyone. You just existed in a space where someone decided you were useful leverage. And I've built my entire life on making sure people like that don't win. Soren's throat worked. What if we both lose? Then at least we lose fighting. The moment stretched. Outside, cameras still lined the gates. Inside, two people who barely knew each other tried to build trust in the ruins of their lives. Ronan's security system chimed. Langston at the gate. That's the doctor, Ronan said. Let him check you. I'll finalize the statement. Soren hesitated, then nodded. Langston arrived with the same quiet efficiency. He set up in the living room, running tests while Ronan worked in the adjacent office. Through the open door, Ronan heard fragments of conversation. Any pain? Just pressure. And cramping sometimes. Scale of 1 to 10? 3. Maybe 4 when it's bad. Are you sleeping? Not really. Eating? When I remember. Langston's silence spoke volumes. After a while, he called Ronan over. Blood pressure's still elevated, Langston said. Baby's heart rate is strong, but Mr. Hale's cortisol levels are concerning. Prolonged stress at this stage increases preterm labor risk. What do you recommend? Ronan asked. Complete rest, minimal emotional stimulation, ideally in a controlled environment for the next few weeks. That's not possible. Then you're gambling with 2 lives. The words hit like a physical blow. Ronan looked at Soren, who'd gone very still. If I leave, they'll find me anyway, Soren said quietly. At least here I have protection. Protection doesn't reduce cortisol, Langston countered. Safety does. Peace of mind does. And right now you have neither. Ronan's mind raced. They needed to end this fast. Not in weeks. In days. Give us 48 hours, Ronan said. If the situation hasn't stabilized by then, I'll arrange a secure medical facility. Langston didn't look happy but nodded. 48 hours, not a minute more. After he left, Soren spoke first. You can't promise stabilization in 2 days. Watch me. Ronan pulled up his contact list. Started making calls. Investigators, financial analysts, people who owed him favors or feared him enough to move fast. By the time he finished, he had a team assembled. Their target, Calder Rook's entire operation. Financial records, business partnerships, communication logs, everything. What are you doing? Soren asked. Turning the tables. Ronan's voice went cold. If Calder wants a war, I'll give him one, but it'll be fought on my terms. And if you lose? I don't lose. Soren studied him. You keep saying that, but everyone loses eventually. Not today. Ronan hit send on the final email. The investigation was live. Within hours, his team would start peeling back layers of Calder's empire, finding cracks, exploiting weaknesses. But while they worked, Ronan needed insurance. He pulled up the statement draft. Added one final paragraph. I am offering a reward of $5 million for verifiable information leading to the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in the systematic harassment of Soren Hale or the fabrication of evidence used against him. This offer stands regardless of the perpetrator's identity or status. 5 million would shake trees, make people talk, turn allies into informants. Ronan published the statement before he could second guess. Within minutes, his phone exploded. Media requests, legal warnings, and one message from an unknown number. Bold move. Let's see if you can afford it. Ronan showed it to Soren. That's him, isn't it? Soren said. Calder. Probably. What do we do now? Wait and prepare. But waiting felt impossible when every second brought new attacks. When the clock on Soren's pregnancy kept ticking. When the walls felt like they were closing in. Ronan moved to the window. Watched the media circus outside. Counted exits in his mind. Behind him, Soren's phone finally rang. He answered. Hello? Pause. Mom. Soren's voice broke. I'm okay, I promise. Don't believe what you're hearing. Ronan turned. Watched Soren try to reassure his mother through tears. Watched him fail. When the call ended, Soren looked shattered. She thinks I'm in danger, that you're holding me hostage. Are you? Ronan asked quietly. In danger? Soren met his eyes. Yeah, but not from you. That honesty felt like a gift. Ronan didn't know what to do with it. His phone buzzed. Email from his investigative team. Subject line, you need to see this. Ronan opened it. Started reading. His blood went cold. The attachment was a financial record. Payments from Calder Rook to the broker who'd arranged the blind date. Payments that predated the dinner by 6 months. This wasn't opportunistic. This was premeditated. Calder had been planning this from the beginning. The financial trail led straight to Baltimore. Ronan stared at the records his team had pulled. Wire transfers, Shell Corporation receipts, encrypted communications, all pointing to a warehouse district Ronan knew too well. The same place where the broker had saved his operation 2 years ago. the same place where favors got traded like currency. It wasn't coincidence. It was choreography. Calder had used Ronan's own history against him, found the one person Ronan trusted enough to accept a blind request, planted Soren like a trap waiting to spring. "What is it?" Soren asked. He'd been sitting quietly, phone dark in his hands since the call with his mother ended badly. Ronan turned the laptop screen. "The broker who set up our dinner. He was paid by Calder 6 months ago, before the Massachusetts hearing, before any of this started." Soren leaned closer, squinting at the numbers. "I don't understand. How would Calder even know about me back then?" "He didn't. He created you." Ronan pulled up a secondary file. "Look at the dates. Payments to the welfare board. Payments to anonymous sources who filed complaints. Payments to the people who harassed your child's father." He clicked through screens. "Every domino that fell in your life, Calder pushed it." Soren's face went ashen. "Why?" "Because destroying you was never the goal. You were just the road to destroying me." The words landed heavy. Soren stood abruptly, nearly knocking over the chair. His breathing quickened. Ronan recognized the signs. Panic attack incoming. "Sit down," Ronan said firmly, "before you fall down." "I can't. He ruined my life to get to you." "Soren, sit." Something in Ronan's voice cut through. Soren sat, his hands gripped his knees, knuckles white. "Breathe," Ronan instructed. "Count to 4. Hold. Release." Soren tried. The rhythm was broken but present. After several attempts, the hyperventilation eased. "I need you focused," Ronan said, crouching in front of him. "Can you do that?" Soren nodded weakly. "Good. Because we're going to Baltimore, tonight." "What? Why?" "Because the broker's there. And he's going to tell us everything." "You can't just—" Soren stopped. "You're going to hurt him." "I'm going to have a conversation. What happens after depends on his cooperation." Soren searched Ronan's face. "You said you don't do violence." "I don't do unnecessary violence. There's a difference." Ronan stood. "But I need leverage. And right now the broker's the weakest link in Calder's chain." "What about me? You're just leaving me here?" "You're coming with me." "I can't travel. The doctor said you need this resolved in 48 hours. This gets us closer." Ronan checked his watch. "We'll take a car, 3 hours each way. You'll be back before midnight." "And if something happens?" "If the stress, Langston's coming too. He'll monitor you the entire trip." Soren looked torn between terror and resignation. "This is insane." "Yeah, but it's also our best shot." While Soren processed, Ronan made calls. His driver, his security detail. Langston, who protested until Ronan mentioned the cortisol levels and preterm labor risk. Sometimes you fought threats with other threats. Within an hour, they were moving. The car was armored, windows tinted dark enough to hide faces. Langston sat in the front passenger seat with medical equipment. Ronan and Soren occupied the back. The city fell away. Highways stretched ahead. Soren kept one hand on his stomach, the other gripping the door handle. "You don't have to do this," Ronan said quietly. "You just said I did. I said we need to resolve this. You don't have to be present for the conversation." Soren turned to him. "You mean I don't have to watch you threaten someone?" "Something like that." "Will it be bad?" Ronan considered lying, decided against it. "Depends on what he says, and how fast he says it." Soren was quiet for several miles, then, "I don't want anyone hurt because of me." "They hurt you first. That doesn't make it right?" "No, but it makes it even." Soren looked away. "I used to think that mattered. Justice, fairness, balance." His voice went soft. "Now I just want it to stop." Ronan understood that. The exhaustion in Soren's tone wasn't physical. It was existential, the kind that came from being ground down until survival was the only goal left. "It will stop," Ronan said. "Tonight." Baltimore appeared through the windshield. Industrial skyline, harbor lights, the smell of salt and diesel even through closed windows. Ronan's driver navigated through familiar streets, past shipping containers and chain-link fences, into the warehouse district, where legitimate business bled into gray markets. They parked outside a building that looked abandoned. Ronan knew better. The broker operated from the third floor. Security was minimal but present. Cameras, motion sensors, men who watched without being seen. "Stay in the car," Ronan told Soren. "Langston stays with you. Doors locked, engine running. If anything goes wrong, you leave immediately." "What about you?" "I'll be fine." Ronan stepped out. His security detail followed. Two men, both armed, both loyal enough to die quietly if necessary. They entered through a side door Ronan had used before. The stairs creaked. Third floor smelled like mildew and old coffee. The broker's office door stood open. Inside, a man sat at a desk covered in papers. Mid-50s, gray stubble, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked up when Ronan entered. No surprise, no fear. "Kade," the broker said. "Figured you'd come eventually. We need to talk." "About the dinner? The Omega?" The broker leaned back. "I did you a favor." "Favors don't usually involve 6-month conspiracies." The broker's expression flickered. "I don't know what you're talking about." Ronan nodded to his security. One of them placed a tablet on the desk. Financial records filled the screen. Wire transfers, dates, amounts. The broker went pale. "Calder paid you," Ronan said flatly. "Paid you to set up the dinner, to make sure I'd agree, to position Soren exactly where he needed him." "That's not— Don't lie. I have transaction records, communication logs, enough to bury you in federal court." The broker's hands shook. "Calder said it was just business. A simple introduction. He didn't tell you it was an assassination. Just asked you to load the gun." Ronan's voice dropped. "And you did it because the money was good." "I needed the money. My operation was failing. He offered enough to sell out someone who saved you 2 years ago." Shame crossed the broker's face. Genuine, raw. "I didn't know it would get this bad. I swear, I thought it was just what? A minor betrayal? A small compromise?" Ronan leaned on the desk. "Because of you, Soren lost everything. His job, his home, his safety, and now people are dead." The broker's eyes widened. "Dead? What are you— "The other Omegas. The ones Calder tested his system on before Soren. 3 targeted, 1 killed." Ronan straightened. "You helped refine a murder weapon." The broker stood shakily. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "Ignorance isn't innocence." "What do you want from me?" "Everything. Communications with Calder, names of everyone involved, financial records, locations of shell companies, and testimony. If I testify, Calder will kill me. If you don't, I will." The broker stared at him. Ronan's expression didn't change. The threat wasn't hollow. They both knew it. "You have 10 seconds, Ronan said. "Choose." The broker's resistance crumbled. Okay. I'll give you everything. Start with Calder's location. He's not in the city. He moves around, but his base operation is— The broker paused. "It's in Connecticut. Shoreline property, near your safe house." Ronan's blood turned to ice. "How near?" 20 miles, maybe less." Soren was 20 miles from Calder. Had been this whole time. The safe house wasn't safe. It was bait. Ronan pulled out his phone, called his driver. "Get Soren out of there, now. Don't go back to the house. Head to the secondary location." "Copy that." Ronan ended the call. Looked at the broker. "What else?" "Calder's planning something big, tomorrow night. He didn't give details, but he said it would force your hand publicly. Make you choose between your reputation and—" The broker swallowed. "And the Omega. Choose how?" "I don't know, but he was excited. Said it would be clean, final." Ronan's jaw clenched. Clean meant no bodies. Final meant no recovery. Calder was planning something that would destroy them both without leaving evidence. "Give me everything you have," Ronan said. "Files, communications, names, now." The broker moved to a safe hidden behind a filing cabinet. His hands shook as he worked the combination. Inside were flash drives, documents, phones. He loaded everything into a bag and handed it over. "This is all of it," the broker said. "Everything Calder sent me." Ronan took the bag. "You're coming with us." Protective custody until this is over. What? No, I can disappear. I don't need. You're a witness now. Which makes you a target. Ronan gestured to his security. They'll keep you alive. Barely. The broker looked like he wanted to argue. Then he saw Ronan's expression and went quiet. They left the warehouse. Ronan's phone buzzed continuously. Updates from his driver, alerts from security, messages from his legal team. He ignored most of it, focused on getting back to the car. When they reached the vehicle, Soren was exactly where Ronan left him. Pale, but present. We're moving locations, Ronan said, climbing in. Right now. What happened? Calder's closer than I thought. The safe house is compromised. Soren's breath caught. Where are we going? Somewhere he can't predict. Ronan gave the driver coordinates. They pulled out, heading north. The broker sat in the middle row, sandwiched between security. Langston monitored Soren's vitals with a portable cuff. Blood pressure spiking, Langston said quietly. We need to calm him down. Working on it, Ronan muttered. He turned to Soren. Look at me. Soren's eyes were glassy, unfocused. Soren, eyes on me. Slowly, Soren focused. Ronan held his gaze. We're going to be okay, Ronan said. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. Soren's lip trembled. What if he finds us anyway? Then I end it, permanently. The weight of that statement filled the car. Ronan meant it. Calder had crossed too many lines, hurt too many people. If it came down to choice between Soren's safety and Calder's life, Ronan wouldn't hesitate. You'd kill for me? Soren whispered. If necessary. Why? Ronan didn't have a clean answer. The truth was messy, complicated. Built on instinct and obligation and something deeper he couldn't name. Because you didn't deserve any of this, Ronan said finally, and I have the power to stop it. Soren's eyes searched his face. What happens after? When Calder's gone? You get your life back. You have the baby. You rebuild. And you? I go back to what I do. Which is? Keeping chaos at bay. Soren smiled faintly. Sad. You're chaos too. Yeah, but controlled chaos. They drove in silence after that. Miles disappeared. The city faded. Trees appeared. Eventually, they reached a property Ronan hadn't used in years, a cabin in the woods, off-grid, no digital trail. We'll stay here tonight, Ronan said. Tomorrow, we finish this. Langston helped Soren inside. The broker was locked in a back room with security standing guard. Ronan stood outside, phone in hand, staring at the data the broker had given him. Inside those files was everything. Calder's operation, his network, his plans. And the final piece, a calendar entry for tomorrow night. Event name, resolution. Location, a private airfield in Connecticut. Ronan's hands clenched. Calder was planning to remove Soren from the equation entirely. Quietly, permanently. Not if Ronan moved first. He pulled up his contact list. Started assembling a team. Not for defense, for offense. Tomorrow night, Calder would expect Ronan to react defensively. To protect, to hide. Instead, Ronan was going to strike. Inside the cabin, Soren asked, What are you doing? Ronan looked back. Ending this. How? By giving Calder exactly what he wants. Me, alone, exposed. That's suicide. No, it's bait. Soren's face went white. You're using yourself as a trap. It's the only way to draw him out, make him commit. Ronan moved closer. But I need you somewhere safe. Somewhere he can't reach. Where? I'm sending you to a medical facility. Federal protection. Full security. Langston stays with you. And you? I meet Calder. End this. Soren shook his head. You'll die. Maybe, but you won't. And that's what matters. The confession hung between them. Raw. Honest. Soren's eyes filled with tears. I never asked you to sacrifice yourself. You didn't have to. Ronan pulled out his phone, made the arrangements. By dawn, Soren would be in federal custody. Safe. Hidden. And Ronan would be walking into hell. The airfield sat empty under moonlight, runways cracked and overgrown with weeds that pushed through asphalt like broken promises. Ronan arrived alone, exactly as instructed. His car idled at the perimeter, headlights cutting through darkness. He stepped out. No weapon, no backup visible. Just him in the cold air that tasted like jet fuel and regret. Across the tarmac, a figure emerged from a hangar. Tall, confident, walking like he owned the ground beneath his feet. Calder Rook. He stopped 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, smile sharp enough to draw blood. "You actually came. I'm impressed." Ronan said nothing. Let the silence do the work. Calder circled slowly, predator assessing prey. "Where's your Omega?" "Safe." "Define safe." "Somewhere you'll never reach." Calder laughed. The sound echoed off empty buildings. "You think federal protection scares me? I have people inside every agency that matters. Give me 6 hours and I'll know exactly which facility he's in." "You won't have 6 hours." Bold. Calder stopped circling. "But stupid. You're here alone, unarmed, at my location. What exactly do you think happens next?" Ronan tilted his head slightly. "You talk, I listen. Then I decide whether you live." That wiped the smile off Calder's face. "You threatening me?" "Stating facts." Movement in the shadows. 3 men stepped into view, each carrying enough firepower to level a building. Calder's insurance policy. Ronan had expected it. "See, here's the problem," Calder said, confidence returning. "You built your reputation on control, discipline, never making emotional decisions. But the Omega broke that. You risked everything for someone you barely know. That's weakness. And weakness gets exploited. Is that what this was? Exploitation? This was business. You blocked my operations 2 years ago. Cost me millions. I needed leverage to make you vulnerable. Soren was perfect. Desperate. Pregnant. Sympathetic." Calder shrugged. "I spent 6 months destroying him, so you'd feel obligated to save him. And it worked." Ronan's hands curled into fists. "You destroyed an innocent person to prove a point. I destroyed a tool to break a competitor. Don't romanticize it." "And the others? The 3 Omegas before Soren?" Calder's expression flickered. "Test runs. Had to refine the process. Make sure the system worked before using it on you. One of them died. Collateral damage." Those 2 words ignited something in Ronan. Not rage, something colder, more permanent. "You're confessing," Ronan said quietly. "To who? You?" Calder gestured around. "There's no recording devices here. I checked. No witnesses except my men, and they're loyal." He stepped closer. "So yeah, I'm confessing. I destroyed Soren Hale. Fabricated evidence, paid off boards, terrorized his family, all to get to you. And it worked perfectly." Ronan pulled a phone from his pocket, hit a button. Calder's voice played back through speakers, crystal clear, every word, every confession. Calder's face went white. "That's not, you said you came alone." "I did, but you didn't check for satellite transmission." Ronan pocketed the phone. "Everything you just said was broadcast live to federal investigators, my lawyers, and about 600 journalists." The color drained completely from Calder's face. He turned to his men. "Kill him, now." They raised their weapons. Headlights exploded from every direction. Vehicles poured onto the airfield. Federal agents, state police, Ronan's security detail. They'd been positioned a mile out, waiting for the signal. Calder's men dropped their weapons, smart enough to know when they were outgunned. Federal agents swarmed Calder, hands behind his back. Rights read in monotone. He struggled, screamed threats, promises of lawyers and political connections. None of it mattered. The confession was recorded. Witnesses secured. Evidence documented. Ronan watched them drag Calder toward an unmarked vehicle. Before they loaded him inside, Calder looked back. "This isn't over," he spat. "Yeah," Ronan said. "It is." They drove away. Sirens faded. The airfield went quiet again. Ronan's lawyer approached, tablet in hand. "We have enough to prosecute. Federal charges, state charges, civil suits from the victims' families. He'll never see daylight again. Good. The Omega. Soren. He's asking for you. Ronan looked up. He's supposed to be in federal custody. He is, but the facility's only 30 minutes from here. He won't sleep until he knows you're alive. Ronan nodded, climbed into his car. The drive felt longer than 30 minutes. Every mile stretched with exhaustion and adrenaline crash. The federal medical facility looked like a hospital. Sterile, secure, agents at every entrance. Ronan showed identification. They let him through. Soren sat in a private room, hands folded over his stomach. When Ronan entered, relief flooded his face. "You're alive," Soren whispered. "Told you I would be. You also said it was dangerous." It was, but calculated danger. Ronan sat in the chair beside the bed. Calder's in custody, his operations dismantled. It's over. Soren's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really. The tears fell then. Not from fear. From release. Months of tension breaking all at once. Ronan sat quietly while Soren cried. Didn't touch him. Didn't offer empty comfort. Just presence. When the tears slowed, Soren wiped his face. What happens now? You rest, deliver safely, rebuild your life. And you? I clean up the mess. Make sure Calder's associates don't retaliate. Fund legal reforms, so this can't happen to others. Soren looked at him. You're leaving. It wasn't a question. Ronan didn't answer immediately. Leaving was the smart move. The clean break. Return to his controlled world. Let Soren heal without complications. But something in Soren's expression stopped him. Not pleading. Not manipulation. Just quiet hope. I don't know, Ronan admitted. You always know. Not this time. They sat in silence. Outside, footsteps echoed in hallways. Machines beeped. Life continued around them while they existed in this small bubble of uncertainty. Soren's hand moved to his stomach. The baby kicked visibly. Ronan watched. Do you want to feel? Soren asked softly. Ronan hesitated, then nodded. Soren guided his hand to the curve. Under Ronan's palm, movement, definite, real. A life that almost didn't survive because of choices neither of them controlled. Strong, Ronan said. Yeah, stubborn too. Wonder where they get that. Soren smiled faintly. Then his expression shifted. There's something coming. I can feel it. What do you mean? The cramping's back. Stronger this time. Ronan pulled his hand away, hit the call button. Langston appeared within seconds. Contractions? Langston asked. Maybe. I don't know what they're supposed to feel like. Langston checked monitors. His expression tightened. Blood pressure's spiking again. Heart rate elevated. We need to run tests. Is the baby okay? Soren asked, voice thin. I don't know yet, but we're not taking chances. They moved Soren to an exam room. Ronan waited outside, pacing. Federal agents watched him curiously but said nothing. After what felt like hours, Langston emerged. Preterm labor, early stages. We've given medication to slow it. But he needs complete bed rest. No stress, no travel. How early? 26 weeks. If he delivers now, the baby has a chance, but it's high risk. Ronan processed that. What are the odds? With proper care, 70% survival. But complications are likely. 70%. Not good enough. What does he need? Ronan asked. Time and stability. We're keeping him here for monitoring. At least 2 weeks. Possibly longer if contractions continue. Ronan nodded. I'll cover costs. Whatever he needs. It's not about money. It's about keeping him calm. Stress is the enemy right now. Understood. Langston left. Ronan stood in the hallway, hands in his pockets, mind racing. He'd ended Calder's threat. But the damage was done. Soren's body was breaking under months of accumulated trauma. And there was nothing Ronan could do except wait. 4 days passed like held breath. Ronan stayed at the facility, officially as a security consultant. Unofficially because leaving felt impossible. He worked from a makeshift office, laptop, phone, secure connection. managed his operations remotely, answered questions from lawyers preparing Calder's prosecution, but mostly he waited. Soren remained on bed rest. Medication kept the contractions suppressed, but barely. Every 4 hours, monitors checked fetal heart rate. Every 6 hours, Langston assessed progression. The numbers stayed stable, not improving, just holding. Ronan visited twice daily, morning and evening, never stayed long, never said much, just presence. On the 5th day, something changed. Ronan entered Soren's room and found him sitting up, staring at a tablet. His expression was unreadable. "What's wrong?" Ronan asked. Soren turned the screen. News article. Headline: Federal investigation exposes Omega exploitation ring. Below it, details. Calder's arrest. The evidence. Testimony from Dr. Gray and the broker. And photos of Soren, identified by name, labeled as primary victim. "They're calling me a victim," Soren said quietly. "You were." "I know, but seeing it in print—" He stopped. "Everyone knows now. My family, people from Massachusetts, everyone." Ronan sat. "How do you feel about that?" "I don't know. Relieved? Terrified?" Soren set the tablet down. "My sister called. First time in months. She apologized. Said she should have believed me during the hearing." "That's good." "Is it? Or is she just apologizing because now there's proof?" Soren's voice hardened. "Where was she when I was sleeping in shelters? When I couldn't afford food?" Ronan had no answer for that. Family was complicated. Forgiveness even more so. "You don't have to reconcile," Ronan said. "Not if you're not ready. But I should want to, right? They're my family. Family that abandoned you when you needed them most." Soren looked at him. "You sound like you have experience with that." Ronan did. But talking about his own family meant opening doors he kept locked. "This isn't about me. Maybe it should be. You know everything about my life. I know nothing about yours." "Fair point." Ronan considered deflecting, then decided against it. "My father was alpha," Ronan said. "Traditional, believed in hierarchy, dominance. When I refused to follow his path, he disowned me. Said I was weak, a disappointment." He paused. "I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. Soren absorbed that. "Do you regret it?" "No. He wanted a weapon. I refused to be one." "But you became something similar anyway." Ronan smiled without humor. "I became what I needed to survive." "There's a difference." "Is there?" That question sat heavy between them. Ronan didn't have a clean answer. His life existed in moral gray zones. He'd hurt people, destroyed careers, used leverage and fear as tools. But he'd also protected the vulnerable when systems failed them. "I'm not a good man," Ronan said finally, "but I'm not my father. I think you're better than you believe. You barely know me. I know you risked everything to protect me. That's not nothing." Before Ronan could respond, Langston entered. His expression was tight. "Contractions are back, stronger than before. Medication's not holding." Soren's face went pale. "What does that mean?" "It means we're moving to active monitoring. If they don't stop in the next hour, we'll need to consider early delivery." "No, it's too early. You said—" "I know what I said. But if we wait and complications develop, we risk both of you." Langston moved to adjust monitors. "I need you to stay calm. I know that's asking the impossible, but stress accelerates labor." Soren's breathing quickened. Ronan saw panic building. "Look at me," Ronan said firmly. Soren's eyes snapped to his. "Breathe with me. In, hold, out." They breathed together. Slow, controlled. Ronan kept his gaze steady, anchoring Soren through the fear. After several minutes, Langston checked the monitors. Heart rate's stabilizing. "Good. Keep doing that." Ronan didn't break eye contact. Didn't speak. Just breathed with Soren while machines tracked the fragile thread, keeping them both from disaster. The hour passed in tense silence. Langston came and went. Nurses adjusted IVs. Federal agents changed shifts outside the door. Finally, Langston returned with results. "Contractions have slowed. Not stopped, but manageable. We're not delivering today." Soren exhaled shakily. How long can we keep doing this? Ideally, 4 more weeks. Realistically? I don't know. Every day matters at this stage. After Langston left, Soren closed his eyes. I can't do 4 more weeks like this. You won't have to. I'll make sure of it. How? Ronan pulled out his phone. Started making calls. Specialists, equipment, alternative treatments. Money solved problems. He'd use every dollar he had. By evening, he'd arranged consultations with 3 high-risk pregnancy experts. 2 were flying in tomorrow. The 3rd would video conference tonight. Soren watched him work with something like wonder. You don't stop, do you? Not when it matters. Why does this matter so much to you? Ronan stopped. Put down the phone. Looked at Soren directly. Because I made a choice. At that restaurant. When I could have walked away and didn't. He paused. And I don't regret choices I make consciously. Even when they cost you everything? I haven't lost everything. Your reputation's damaged. Your operations are under scrutiny. You've spent a fortune on legal fees and protection. Soren's voice caught. All for someone you met a week ago. 10 days. That doesn't make it better. No, but it makes it real. Soren stared at him. What are we doing, Ronan? Surviving. And after? When the baby's born? When Calder's in prison? When this is all over? Ronan didn't have an answer. The future felt distant. Theoretical. Right now, survival was the only goal that mattered. I don't know, Ronan admitted, but we'll figure it out. Soren's hand moved to his stomach. They're quiet now, finally resting. Good. I'm scared. I know. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough? Ronan moved closer. You've survived months of targeted harassment, public humiliation, isolation, and you're still here, still fighting. He held Soren's gaze. You're stronger than you think. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Soren's eyes filled with tears. I don't feel strong. I feel broken. Broken things can still be beautiful. The words hung between them. Soren reached out. Ronan took his hand, held it gently. Stay, Soren whispered. Tonight. Just be here. Ronan should have said no. Should have maintained distance. Should have protected them both from attachment. Instead, he nodded. He pulled a chair beside the bed. Didn't let go of Soren's hand. Sat while monitors beeped and night deepened and exhaustion finally pulled Soren under. Ronan stayed awake. Watching. Waiting. Ready to call for help if anything changed. Hours passed. The facility settled into quiet rhythms. Outside the window, city lights glowed distant and indifferent. Ronan's phone buzzed. Message from his lawyer. Calder's offering a deal. Full confession in exchange for reduced sentence. Ronan typed back, reject it. I want maximum penalty. That could extend trial, months of testimony, public exposure. I don't care. He doesn't get to negotiate. Understood. Ronan pocketed the phone, looked at Soren sleeping. At the curve of his stomach where life grew despite everything trying to stop it. This was worth fighting for. Worth every risk. Even if it destroyed him. The specialist arrived at dawn with news that split reality down the middle. Dr. Imani Chen, 30 years in high-risk obstetrics, stood at the foot of Soren's bed reviewing charts with an expression that gave nothing away. Ronan watched from the corner, arms crossed, jaw tight. The contractions are stress-induced but physiologically significant, Dr. Chen said. Medication can slow them, not stop them. Every day you hold on increases survival odds, but... She paused. The cost to your body is substantial. What kind of cost? Soren asked. Potential preeclampsia, placental complications. If we push too far, we risk both of you. So what do I do? You have 3 options. 1. Continue current treatment, accept the risks, aim for 34 weeks minimum. 2. Controlled early delivery at 30 weeks with NICU support. 3. Emergency delivery if complications emerge before then. Soren's hand shook. What would you recommend? Honestly, option 2. Controlled environment. Planned intervention. Best chance for both of you. That's 4 weeks away. Yes. Can I make it 4 weeks? Dr. Chen met his eyes. If you're willing to accept the cost. Soren looked at Ronan. What do you think? Ronan moved closer. It's your choice, your body, your child. I'll support whatever you decide. That's not helpful. I'm not trying to be helpful. I'm trying to be honest. Ronan sat on the edge of the bed. If you want my opinion, I think you're strong enough to make 30 weeks. But I also think you've been forced to be strong for too long, and sometimes the bravest thing is admitting you can't carry more weight. Soren's eyes filled. I want my baby to have the best chance. Then we aim for 30 weeks, controlled delivery, Dr. Chen's team, full support. Soren nodded slowly. Okay, 30 weeks. Dr. Chen made notes. I'll coordinate with the facility. We'll need daily monitoring, adjusted medications, complete bed rest until delivery. After she left, Soren exhaled shakily. 4 more weeks. You can do this. Can I? Yeah. But the certainty in Ronan's voice felt fragile. He'd seen Soren's exhaustion. The way pain etched deeper into his features daily. 4 weeks might as well be 4 years. Days blurred together. Ronan divided time between Soren's room and his operations. Federal prosecutors built their case against Calder. Evidence mounted. Testimonies locked in. The trial date was set for 3 months out. But inside the facility, time moved differently. Measured in heartbeats, contractions, medication doses. On day 12 of bed rest, Soren's sister visited. Ronan was there when she arrived. Mid-30s, similar features to Soren, eyes carrying guilt like a second skin. She stopped in the doorway when she saw Ronan. I'm Zara, she said, Soren's sister. Ronan nodded, didn't move. Zara looked at Soren. Can we talk? Alone? Soren hesitated, then nodded. It's okay, Ronan. Give us a few minutes. Ronan left reluctantly. Stood in the hallway where he could see through the door window but couldn't hear. Watched Zara pull a chair close. Watched her reach for Soren's hand. Watched Soren pull away. The conversation was brief, intense. Zara cried. Soren didn't. After 10 minutes, Zara left, face red and wet. She didn't look at Ronan as she passed. Ronan waited 30 seconds, then entered. Soren stared at the ceiling. She apologized. Said she should have done more during the hearing. What did you say? That sorry doesn't fix the nights I slept in my car, doesn't replace the meals I skipped. Doesn't erase the fact that when I needed family, they chose their comfort over my safety. How did she take it? Badly. She wanted forgiveness. I couldn't give it. You don't owe her that. I know, but it still hurt. Choosing truth over peace. Soren looked at Ronan. Is it always this hard? Yeah, but necessary hard. The kind that builds instead of breaks. Soren processed that in silence. 2 weeks later, at the 29-week mark, everything went wrong. Ronan was in a meeting with his lawyers when his phone exploded. Langston, 3 missed calls. He excused himself, called back. Get here now, Langston said. No preamble. Soren's in active labor. We can't stop it. Ronan's world tilted. I'm 20 minutes away. We don't have 20 minutes. Dr. Chen's prepping for emergency delivery. Ronan ran, out of the building, into his car, drove like physics didn't apply, made it to the facility in 12 minutes, sprinted through security, reached the delivery floor. They had already taken Soren to surgery. Ronan stood outside the operating room, hands pressed against glass, watching through the window. Soren lay on the table, eyes wide with fear. Dr. Chen and her team moved with practiced efficiency. Machines beeped, monitors flashed. Langston appeared beside Ronan. 29 weeks is viable. Survival rate is over 90% with proper care. What about Soren? He's stable, but labor this early means complications. Possible hemorrhaging. Infection risk. Ronan couldn't breathe. Couldn't think, just watched through glass as they prepared to deliver a child who shouldn't be ready. Who was being forced into existence because trauma had consequences that medicine couldn't fully erase. Does he know I'm here? Ronan asked. I told him. He asked me to make sure you stayed. Ronan's throat tightened. I'm not leaving. Time fractured. Seconds stretched. Then, movement. The team worked faster. Dr. Chen's voice came through the intercom. Baby's crowning. Get ready for immediate NICU transfer. More movement. Urgency without panic. Then a sound. Thin, high, unmistakably alive. Ronan's knees almost buckled. Through the glass he saw them lift a tiny figure, red, squirming, lungs protesting entry into a world that wasn't supposed to receive them yet. The NICU team swarmed, wrapped the baby, attached monitors, moved toward incubation. Dr. Chen spoke to Soren. Ronan couldn't hear the words but saw Soren nod, saw tears stream down his face. The NICU team brought the baby close to the window where Ronan stood. A nurse held the bundle so he could see. Impossibly small, perfectly formed. Eyes closed. Breathing assisted but breathing. 3 pounds, 4 ounces, the nurse said through the intercom. Strong vitals considering gestational age. He's a fighter. A son. Ronan pressed his hand against the glass. The nurse angled the baby so their faces almost touched through the barrier. Does he have a name? The nurse asked. Ronan looked at Soren. Soren mouthed a word. The nurse checked her chart. Elijah Hale. Elijah, strong name, biblical, meaning my God is Yahweh. Hope incarnate. They took him away. To the NICU. To machines and specialists, and the fragile line between life and death. Dr. Chen emerged 30 minutes later. Surgical gown stained. Exhaustion carved into her features. Soren's stable, she said. No major complications. He'll recover fully with rest. And the baby? Critical but stable. The next 72 hours are crucial. If he makes it past that, odds improve significantly. Can I see Soren? He's asking for you. Ronan entered the recovery room. Soren lay in bed, IV in his arm, face pale but alert. When he saw Ronan, something cracked. Did you see him? Soren whispered. Yeah. He's so small. He's perfect. Soren's tears came then. Silent, overwhelming. Ronan sat beside him. Didn't speak, didn't offer false comfort. Just presence. I'm scared, Soren said. Me too. What if he doesn't make it? Then we deal with that, together. Soren looked at him. You keep saying together, like you're not planning to leave. I'm not. Why? Ronan took a breath. Because somewhere between that restaurant and this room, you stopped being an obligation and started being... He paused, searching for words. Something I choose. Every day, consciously. Soren's breath hitched. What does that mean? It means I'm here. As long as you want me. And if I want you always? Ronan held his gaze. Then always it is. The confession hung between them. Raw, honest, terrifying. Soren reached for Ronan's hand. Ronan took it. He needs to make it, Soren whispered. He will. You can't know that. No, but I believe it. And in that moment, belief was enough. 72 hours felt like drowning in slow motion. Elijah lay in the NICU, encased in plastic and wires, chest rising and falling with mechanical assistance. Ronan stood at the viewing window every hour he wasn't with Soren. Watched nurses adjust monitors. Watched doctors check vitals. Watched life fight to take root. Soren remained in recovery, physically healing, emotionally fractured. He asked about Elijah constantly. Ronan delivered updates with honesty that sometimes felt cruel. Oxygen levels stable. Heart rate good. No signs of infection. But he's still on the ventilator. Yeah. When can they take him off? When his lungs are strong enough. Dr. Chen said maybe a week. Soren closed his eyes. A week? You made it 4 weeks on bed rest. He can make it 1 week on support. He's not me. No, he's stronger. Soren opened his eyes. How do you know? Because he's yours. That landed. Soren's expression shifted. Not quite hope, but close. On day 2, Calder's lawyer called. Ronan answered in the hallway, outside Soren's room. My client wants to speak with you directly, the lawyer said. No. He claims he has information relevant to Soren Hale's safety. He's in federal custody. He can't touch Soren. Not him. His associates. Apparently the operation had contingencies. People who might retaliate for his arrest. Ronan's blood went cold. Explain. That's all he'd tell me. Said he'll only discuss it with you. Ronan weighed options. Talking to Calder gave him platform. Attention. But ignoring potential threats puts Soren and Elijah at risk. Set it up. Tomorrow. Federal facility. Monitored conversation. I want recording equipment and witnesses. Agreed. Ronan ended the call. Immediately contacted his security team. Doubled protection around the medical facility, added surveillance on Soren's family, cross-referenced known associates of Calder's operation. When he returned to Soren's room, Soren took one look at his face and knew. What happened? Calder wants to talk. Claims he has information about threats. You're not going. I am, but with precautions. He's manipulating you. Probably, but I can't risk ignoring legitimate danger. Soren sat up despite pain. He's already destroyed so much. Don't give him more power. I'm not giving him anything. I'm taking information. And what does he get in return? Nothing. That's not how this works. But Soren's fear was valid. Men like Calder didn't offer information without price. The next day, Ronan drove to the federal detention facility where Calder was held. Maximum security, no physical contact, glass partition with phone system. Calder looked diminished. Orange jumpsuit, no expensive suit, no confident smile. Just a man facing consequences. He picked up the phone. Ronan mirrored the motion. You look tired, Calder said. You look incarcerated. Calder's jaw tightened. I'm offering you a deal. I don't negotiate with. My associates are planning retaliation against Soren, against his family, against the baby. Ronan's hand clenched around the phone. Names. In exchange for reduced sentence. Not happening. Then people die. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually. Calder leaned closer. You can't protect everyone forever. I built networks that operate without me. Insurance policies. Give me names and I'll consider advocating for concurrent sentencing instead of consecutive. That's not enough. It's all you're getting. They stared at each other through glass. Two alphas, one trapped, one free, both holding cards. 3 names, Calder finally said. Marcus Webb. Operates out of Philadelphia. Handles enforcement. Sienna Cross. Financial networks in Boston. And, he paused. Your old friend. The broker. Ronan's blood froze. The broker's in protective custody. Is he? Or is he playing both sides? Feeding you information while coordinating retaliation? You're lying. Am I? Check his communications, his movements. See if he's been where he claimed. Ronan ended the call. Immediately contacted his security team. I need full audit on the broker. Every communication. Every location ping. Everything. On it. While he waited, Ronan drove back to the medical facility. Found Soren sleeping. Found Langston reviewing Elijah's charts. How is he? Ronan asked quietly. Improving. Oxygen saturation increased overnight. They're discussing ventilator reduction tomorrow. Relief hit like physical force. That's good. It's cautiously optimistic. We're not out of danger, but trajectory is positive. Ronan's phone buzzed. His security team. The broker's been making unauthorized calls. Burner phones. We tracked 3 in the last week, all to Philadelphia area codes. Marcus Webb's territory. Where is he now? Still at the protective house. But he's been leaving, short windows, 30 minutes here, an hour there. Bring him in, now, full interrogation. Copy. Ronan turned to Langston. I need you to lock down this facility. No visitors without my approval. Extra security on Soren's floor and the NICU. What's happening? Insurance policy about to activate. Ronan moved to Soren's room, woke him gently. We need to move you, now. Soren blinked awake, confused. What? Why? The broker's compromised. He's been coordinating with Calder's people. They might know you're here. Fear flooded Soren's face. What about Elijah? He moves too. NICU has mobile units. We're transferring to a secure private facility. Can he survive transport? Dr. Chen's already coordinating. She says yes if we move within the hour. Soren struggled upright. Then move us. Ronan called the logistics team. Within 30 minutes, an ambulance arrived. NICU transport unit rolled Elijah's incubator carefully. Soren was wheeled alongside. They moved through underground exits, away from cameras, away from anyone watching. The private facility was 50 miles outside the city. Small, exclusive. Security that rivaled military installations. They settled Elijah in a private NICU room. State-of-the-art equipment. Specialist staff. Soren was given the adjoining suite, connected by window so he could see Elijah constantly. Ronan stayed, coordinating with federal agents, tracking Marcus Webb's movements, waiting for the broker to break. He broke 6 hours later. Under interrogation, the broker confessed. Calder had paid him to feed information, track movements, report on security weaknesses, in exchange for reducing his own criminal exposure. Where's Marcus Webb now? The interrogator asked. I don't know. He stopped answering 2 days ago. What was his last known target? The broker hesitated. Then quietly, the original medical facility. He was supposed to hit tonight. Ronan's stomach dropped. If they hadn't moved, get agents to that facility now, full lockdown, arrest anyone suspicious. Federal teams mobilized. Within the hour, Marcus Webb was in custody, found in a parking garage half a mile from the facility, armed, waiting. Ronan called Soren. It's over. They got him. Soren's voice shook. All of them. Webb, the broker. Calder's in maximum security. Anyone else involved is being rounded up. We're safe? Yeah, we're safe. Soren exhaled. Can I see Elijah? Door's right there. Go. Ronan watched through the window as Soren moved to the NICU room, stood beside the incubator, placed his hand against the plastic. Elijah's tiny fingers twitched. Not reaching, but responding. Dr. Chen appeared beside Ronan. We're reducing ventilator support tomorrow. If he tolerates it, full removal by end of week. And after that? Monitoring, growth, development. But if he continues this trajectory, full recovery is likely. Ronan let himself feel hope, fragile, tentative, real. That night, Soren asked the question Ronan had been avoiding. What happens when Elijah's healthy enough to leave? Ronan sat in the chair beside his bed. You go home, rebuild, live the life that was stolen from you. And you? I make sure no one ever does this to anyone again. Fund legal reforms. Support Omega protection programs. Turn this nightmare into something useful. That's not what I'm asking. Ronan met his eyes. Then asked clearly, do you want to be part of our lives? After this? The question hung in the air. Heavy, honest, terrifying. Ronan could say no, walk away clean, return to his controlled existence. Or he could choose the messy, unpredictable, terrifying reality of attachment. Yeah, Ronan said quietly. I do. Why? Because you made me remember what I was protecting. Not territory, not operations, people, lives, futures. He paused. You made me remember why I started this in the first place. Soren's eyes filled. What if I'm not enough? You're more than enough. What if Elijah's not yours biologically? Biology doesn't make a father. Choice does. Soren reached for his hand. Ronan took it. Stay, Soren whispered. Choose us. Ronan squeezed his hand. Already did. 3 months later, spring arrived with the kind of light that made everything look possible. Elijah came home on a Tuesday. 6 pounds, 2 ounces, breathing on his own, eating without assistance. A medical miracle wrapped in a blue blanket. Soren carried him into the apartment Ronan had secured. Not the Connecticut house, something smaller, softer. In a neighborhood with parks and schools and the kind of boring safety that trauma made precious. Ronan followed with bags, equipment. The accumulated weight of starting over. They settled Elijah in the nursery. Walls painted soft gray. Crib assembled by Ronan's own hands because some things shouldn't be delegated. Mobile hanging overhead. Stars and moons rotating slowly. Soren stood watching Elijah sleep, hand pressed to the crib rail. I keep waiting for something to go wrong, Soren said quietly. Nothing's going to go wrong. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll be here when things get hard. Soren turned. You've been here every day for 3 months. When do you go back to your actual life? This is my actual life now. Running operations from a hospital room? Delegating operations. There's a difference. Ronan moved beside him. I scaled back. Sold some holdings. Restructured others. Turns out you can build empires and still be present. You gave up power for us. I redirected power. Toward things that matter. Soren looked at him. Like what? Legal defense fund for Omegas. Launched last month. Already processing 50 cases. Ronan pulled out his phone. Showed Soren the website. Anonymous reporting system for exploitation. Direct pipeline to federal investigators. And a scholarship program for Omegas pursuing higher education after trauma. Soren's eyes widened. You built all this? We built it. Your testimony against Calder created the framework. Your story gave others courage to come forward. I just told the truth. The truth changed systems. Soren absorbed that. Turned back to Elijah. What about Calder? Sentenced yesterday. 45 years federal prison, no parole. And the others? Marcus Webb got 20. The broker got 15. Sienna Cross took a deal. 10 years, full cooperation. Ronan pocketed his phone. They're all gone, for a long time. Does it feel like justice? It feels like consequence. Justice would be erasing what they did. But we can't have that. So we settle for making sure they can't do it again. Elijah stirred. Made a small sound. Soren immediately moved closer, instincts taking over. Ronan watched, something warm settling in his chest. You're a natural, Ronan said. I'm terrified. That means you care. Soren picked up Elijah carefully, held him close. The baby's eyes opened, dark, unfocused, searching. Soren smiled. Hey, little man, welcome home. Elijah's tiny hand gripped Soren's finger, holding on like life depended on it. Ronan stepped closer. Can I? Soren transferred Elijah into Ronan's arms. The weight was impossibly light, fragile. Ronan adjusted his hold, supporting the head like the nurses taught him. Elijah stared up at him. Not understanding. Just seeing. Hey, kid, Ronan said softly. I'm Ronan. He paused. What was he? Not father biologically. Not legally yet. But something. I'm the guy who's going to make sure you grow up safe. That you never have to run. That you know what it means to be protected without being possessed. Elijah yawned, apparently unimpressed by the speech. Soren laughed. First real laugh Ronan had heard in months. Light. Genuine. He's already bored with your promises. Smart kid. They stood together. Makeshift family built from trauma and choice and the stubborn refusal to let cruelty win. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, the apartment held the kind of quiet that felt earned. Days became weeks. Weeks became routine. Midnight feedings, diaper changes, the mundane chaos of new life. Ronan adapted, learned to function on 3 hours of sleep, figured out bottle angles and burping techniques, discovered that power meant nothing compared to making Elijah smile. Soren healed. Physically first, body recovering from trauma and birth, then emotionally. Therapy twice a week, working through layers of damage. They didn't talk about labels, didn't define what they were, just existed together. Raising Elijah, building something neither had words for yet. Until one night when Elijah was 5 months old and finally sleeping through the night, Soren asked the question they'd been avoiding. What are we? Ronan looked up from his laptop. What do you want us to be? Soren stopped, started again. I want us to be real, not just crisis response, not just trauma bonding. Real. We are real. Are we? Or are you here because you feel obligated? Ronan closed the laptop, moved to sit beside Soren on the couch. I'm here because I choose to be. Every day, consciously. That's about as real as it gets. But what does that mean? Long term? It means I'm not going anywhere. It means when Elijah asks who I am, I want to have an answer that's true. Like what? Ronan took a breath. Like the alpha who loves his father enough to stay. Soren's breath caught. You love me? Yeah. Have for a while now. Why didn't you say something? Because you needed time. Space to heal without pressure. Ronan held his gaze. But if you're asking what we are, I'm asking if you want more. If you want us to build something permanent. Soren's eyes filled. Like what? Like a family, legal, recognized, protected. Ronan pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. Inside 2 rings. Simple. Silver, no diamonds. Just presents. I can't offer you a traditional courtship. Can't erase what happened. Can't promise perfection. He paused. But I can promise protection, partnership, and a choice to build futures instead of just surviving. Soren stared at the rings. You're asking me to marry you. I'm asking if you want to choose this, us, deliberately. What about Elijah? I want to adopt him, legally, make it real. Soren's tears fell. He's not yours biologically. He's mine by choice. That's stronger. Soren looked at the rings, at Ronan, at the life they'd accidentally built from wreckage. Yes, Soren whispered. I choose this. I choose us. Ronan slipped the ring on Soren's finger. Soren did the same. The metal was cool, solid, real. They sat together while city lights glowed through windows, and Elijah slept peacefully in the next room, and the future stretched ahead uncertain but chosen. 6 months later, they married quietly. Small ceremony. Just close friends and Soren's sister, who'd earned forgiveness through consistent presence. Dr. Chen attended. Langston. Even the federal agents who'd protected them. Ronan's father didn't come. Hadn't responded to the invitation. Ronan didn't care. Family was built, not inherited. The adoption finalized 2 weeks later. Elijah Hale Kade. Legal. Protected. Theirs. Years passed. Elijah grew, learned to walk, to talk, to ask impossible questions like, why is the sky blue? And where do thoughts live? Ronan built legitimate businesses, used his networks for good, funded programs that protected others from predators like Calder. Soren returned to work. Slowly, carefully, built a career in Omega advocacy, spoke at conferences, testified before lawmakers, turned his story into armor for others. They fought sometimes, about money, about parenting styles, about whose turn it was to handle the 3 a.m. nightmare wake-up. But they stayed, chose each other, daily, deliberately. On Elijah's 5th birthday, Soren asked Ronan if he had regrets. Ronan thought about it. About the dinner he almost skipped. The choice he almost didn't make. The life he could have had if he'd walked away. No, Ronan said. Not one. Even though it cost you everything you built? It didn't cost me everything. It changed everything. There's a difference. Soren smiled, leaned against him. They watched Elijah play with neighborhood kids, running, laughing, safe. Thank you, Soren said quietly. For what? For choosing us when you could have chosen yourself. You made it easy. Liar. I made it impossible. Yeah. The best things usually are. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their son, living the life they'd fought for. And in that moment, sitting on a park bench while spring bloomed around them, Ronan understood something fundamental. Power wasn't proven by domination. It was proven by protection. Love wasn't proven by possession. It was proven by choice. And sometimes, the bravest thing an alpha could do was let someone else decide to stay. Ronan Kade never let Soren Hale go, because Soren had never been something to hold. He was someone to stand beside. And that made all the difference. This is how broken things build futures. through choice, through courage, through refusing to let trauma write the ending. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications for more stories that inspire. Share your truth in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Choose courage. Choose hope. Choose to build something beautiful from the wreckage. We'll see you in the next story.